We're all trying to impress other photographers. We're always trying to show our skills and push our boundaries. But one of the things that we really shouldn't be doing is trying to always be the best, because I think it's going to be detrimental in the long run in actually being the best photographer that you can be. So in this video, I want to go over some of the things I think you should be focusing on instead that will really help you become this successful photographer that you're dreaming of becoming. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back. My name is Sergio and I'm a commercial photographer here in Victoria, BC. I've been shooting a little over 10 years now, and I can tell you at many points in my career, I thought I had it all figured out, and I thought I knew what I was doing, and if I do this, then I'm always going to get this, and if I'm always going to get that, then I'm always going to get... But that's really not the case, and that's something that I want to drive into this video. There's three main things I think we need to focus on as photographers in order to maintain a successful career, or at least be booked as a photographer. And the very first thing is to stop focusing on what other photographers care about. All right, so I know you've been shooting for a while, you've been working on your skills, you're good at Photoshop, you know how to create something out of nothing, but if you can't impress a layman and if you can't impress the general public, you're never going to make it as a photographer. If all you're trying to do is impress other photographers and show how technically perfect you can create an image, but you lose the soul and you lose the why of your actual shot, then you're going to be missing the point and you're not going to be actually impressing the people who are going to be booking you as photographers. It's one thing to have a Instagram or a social media following of a bunch of other photographers, or even here on YouTube. You know, most of you guys are other photographers, at least I would imagine so. But the people who you are impressing, or the people who follow you, if they're only other photographers, they're not the people who are going to book with you. You want to be impressing people that have the money in order to spend to buy photos. You need to impress art directors, art buyers, mom and pop shops. You need to be undeniable in your skill in order to impress those people and not just other photographers. People don't necessarily understand what makes a great shot. They just see a great shot and they're like, wow, that was great. Other photographers might see the work behind the scenes, or might see what it is that you have to do in order to create a shot that's technically more difficult than others. And if you focus only on trying to impress those people, if you try to only, I need to shoot something with a mirrored reflection so that other people can see, that's not the way to progress as a photographer. What's very important is to build this relationship with people in order for them to know that you are the trusted photography source, which dives nicely into the second thing I think you need to focus on, which is your network. So fans of the channel will know that I speak a lot about if you don't have work, you should go network. And that's a little bit harder said than done. I understand being in a new environment or going to a new city or just, being photographers in general, we're usually pretty shy and awkward, and it's not really our forte to go out and to meet people and to be jovial and to just, have the gift of gab. That's not why we chose this career for the most part, right? But if you focus on making people comfortable and making people happy that you're around, whether it's with or without a camera, they will want to have you around more often, whether that's with or without a camera. It's always beneficial. I know you want to spend more time watching YouTube videos and learning 3-point lighting systems and how you can shoot Rembrandt in midday sun, all that crap. I know you want to work on that and you want to focus on that. But if the people who are hiring photographers don't know what it is that you can do, and they don't think of you as being the trusted photography source, you're never going to get booked. When I first moved here to Victoria, I had a good amount of skill. I had a good amount of business understanding, and I was a portrait photographer for the most part, but I still knew how to shoot, and I was fairly confident, but I was booking 0% of the jobs here in Victoria because nobody knew who I was. I was from the East Coast, and people from the East Coast actually get mad at people from Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto who say that's the East Coast. But anyway, whatever. On the east end of Canada, it was a little bit easier because you have 50% of the population that lives within like a 6-hour drive from each other. And you have a huge population of people, I mean, the size of maybe Manhattan or, not that huge, but you have a big chunk of population that all tend to know each other. And if you know some, then they will know others and they'll know others, and it's easy for that network to grow. I'm on a tiny little island off on the west coast of Canada right now, And it was tough to move to a new place and for nobody to know who you are. So even if you have all the skill in the world, if you're not sharing it, and if you're not telling people what it is that you can do, if you're not hanging out in social circles or in creative circles in which you can talk about what it is that you do, and of course I don't mean just walking into a restaurant and giving your portfolio and being like, look at all the things I can do for you. You need all this, this, that, and the other. That might help, but it'll be much more of a energy draining return on investment, in my opinion. Whereas hanging out with peers and other creatives in your area and people who are art buyers, hanging out at art galleries and just meeting the right people is going to be more beneficial in the long run than just focusing on the actual craft of the photography. I'm not saying you can be a bad photographer. If you want to be successful, you can't be a bad photographer necessarily, even though I'm sure you guys have a bunch of photographers that you know or that you can Google online, like, oh, this person's so bad, I can't believe that they get all the bookings for this X, Y, and Z. But if you do focus on being the person with the camera that people think about when they need a photographer, that's how you book their shoots. And it's a different method. There's a different way to do that with everyone in every different city and in all of the different niches that you're in. So there's no like blanket answer as to how to do a certain thing, but you have to just constantly be putting your 2 cents in. Don't worry about photography forums. Don't worry about photography groups or photo walks with 16 other photographers, and worry about the people who are booking photographers. Those people are not looking at the technical side of your pictures. It's not useless, but it's not what people care about. People only care about the end result. When you see a celebrity or when you see someone who has been super successful at whatever, all you see is that success. You don't see the 20 years of grind to get to that success. Some people don't have that, and some people are born into it, and that's great. But for the most part, you only ever see the success. So if you're looking at other photographers and you're like, man, how are they booking this? How are you booking that? How do they have this, that, and this and that? It's because you're failing to see all of the blueprint, the groundwork that they're putting in order to book those things. So what you have to focus on is not just, oh, I posted on Instagram my favorite shot that I took in the last 3 months, and now everybody knows that I can do at least that, and that's the best. You have to be plugging it down their throat. You have to be almost annoying, at least for your own standards. If you think you're being annoying, that's probably a good sign, because you want to be pushing and pushing and pushing. There's today's digital era, today's world of scrolling and doom scrolling. People forget about things, people miss things, people might have seen and interacted with your post and literally 30 seconds later will forget about it. So you have to be constantly reminding people, even if you have to post the same thing twice, even if you have to go to the same creative meetup and say the exact same story twice, 3 times, 4 times, you keep going until it sticks in people's heads. You keep being that reminder that, hey, I'm the person with the camera. If you need pictures, I'm the camera guy. Especially if it's, for me personally, let's say if it's food or product or still life, I want them to think of me as that person because that's what I like to do. And in order to book those shoots, I need to make sure that my 1% of 1% of 1% of the people who know me book me consistently. And I have to have that bank of people who know me be massive. And the bigger it is, the bigger that 1% of 1% of 1% becomes. Now, the elephant in the room might be that you just suck. That's possible too. I've often been at points in my career where I thought I knew what I was doing, I figured it out, and it's always when you look back that you're like, oh, I could have gone a lot better, or I wasn't booking those shoots, maybe it's because actually, you know what, now that I look back at it 5 years later, I wasn't actually that qualified for that shoot. It's one thing to get booked by other people who don't really book a lot of photo shoots, let's say. Like if you have like a client who's booking shoots for like under $500, they're used to a certain type of environment, they're used to a certain type of client or a certain type of photographer. But the clients who book shoots for $2, $3, $4, $5 have usually already tried those $200, $300, $400, $500 photographers and have realized that, oh no, we actually want a little bit more. We want something else, we want something this, something that. But the people who are booking those $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 photo shoots, they're not looking at the skill of your photography has to far outweigh the $200, $300, $400, $500 photo shoots. Because the thing is, in today's world with digital cameras, with cell phones, For under $500, it's kind of like a day trade. It's like it could be anybody, it could be anyone who has, let's say, the gear, or you go into a restaurant that already has a camera and they're like, oh, can you just do this for us? Or someone's got cousin Frank who can do it for them. There's always like, it's very competitive at that niche or at that level of photography. I think whether that's portraits, whether that's food, whether that's any industry, it's not until you cross $1,000, I think, where people start to be like, okay, well, this is going to be serious. You better be really good. This is a big investment of money. I want you to deliver at a certain quality. And of course, that step also happens at 10 grand. And if you're booking shoots for 2, 3, 4, 5 grand, and then you get a $20,000 contract, well, that contract is not just going to go straight into your pockets. In order to book a contract for $20,000, you're spending 15. You're working towards making these images as good as possible. I bid for a $175,000 contract a few months ago, and it was a lot of expenses and a lot of travel and a lot of other things to pay in order to justify a budget of that much money. And I understand it seems astronomical when we're first starting out. Like, I'm having a hard time go from 150 to 175. How are you doing 150,000? That's insane. So I think if you're relative in how you understand the pricing structures, you can use that to put yourself in the right category. If you find yourself that you are too busy at $500 and you're always trying to complain or trying to convince people that you're worth it and that it's not the same as someone else who's like $200, well, be undeniably different than the $200 photographer. If you want to charge $2,000 and if you want to charge $5,000, you want to charge $20,000, you need to be undeniable in your photography skill. But at that point, you're also becoming a business in order to be someone that is booked. Don't forget that as photographers, we are businesses that are getting booked. We are a storefront for these clients. If you go into a store, what are the things that stand out to you? Why do you buy from a certain brand more than another brand? And then take those things that you like and apply them to your own brand. Do you like the customer service of Amazon? Be that. Be the I always answer emails right away, and if you have anything wrong with your images, I'm happy to edit them for you and re-edit them or do something for you. If you're the Walmart person who likes to have I shoot every single day for not a whole lot of money, but over time, it actually is a very big year-end return, let's say like real estate or family portraits or something like that. You can be the Ferrari of photographers who only shoots $10,000 photo shoots once a month. But even at that, I guess if we're using these analogies, the Walmart photographer is still technically more like you got a bigger market cap than the Ferrari guy, even though you're charging a tenth of the price, 100th of the price. So finding the niche that is comfortable to you and that works for you is what's important. And working on your skills until you undeniably fit in the category that you want to fit in. Not impressing other photographers, not worrying about getting better in order to impress other photographers, but you need to be better in order to impress other clients. That means, what is it that clients like, right? Someone who is working, someone who shows that they can solve problems for other people, and preferably very close to the niche in which they want to hire you. Like if I'm a car manufacturer, I'm not going to hire a photographer who doesn't have any cars in their portfolio. It doesn't need to be 100% exclusive cars. But if that's what I want you to hire, I can't picture the fact that, oh, this person shoots bicycles and I know that those skills are transferable to the cars that I sell. They don't know that. The art buyer does not understand those nuances. So you have to be a little bit more explicit in that, like, this is what I can do for you, this is how I can do it for you, and prove to them how consistently you've done it for other people beforehand. That's what builds the trust for clients. That's what builds this, oh, you're the photographer I need to hire. You're the person who is worth whatever it is you charge. Because you've proven yourself to everyone else, because you've posted on Instagram, because you've shared your work on your website, because you've cold emailed a bunch of the local businesses and been like, look at what I can do for all of these other people. This is where you're lacking as a business. Here's where I come in. This is how much it's going to cost you. Be a good business. Be a good photographer to start, sure. Don't worry about what other photographers think. be a good business, build your network, give it some time, and you'll be successful. Thanks for watching. I hope you got a little bit something out of this one. Leave a comment if you did, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in a couple days. Later.